Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Ho ho everybody, and welcome to the AFTN Soccer Show's 2020 Christmas special. It's Christmas! I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And we're hopefully going to bring you a little bit of festive cheer over the next couple of hours in a year like no other, or hopefully like no other. Hopefully our 2021 Christmas special will be a lot different. This is the 8th year that we've done an AFTN Christmas special. And if you've listened for the last 3 years, when we've been on the radio at CITR 101.9 FM, you'll know that we've kind of taken over the CITR studios for the night, played a load of Christmas songs, had a load of chat, talked football, played games, opened presents, just talked a lot of nonsense. Well, we've kept some of those things for the show tonight, but some things are going to be a little bit different. There's no present openings, sadly, this year. We've not been able to kind of coordinate getting the presents to each other, so we'll maybe have a late Christmas at some point in 2021. Also, and this probably will not come as a surprise to any of our regular listeners, the presents that I actually ordered for Steve and Zach have not arrived yet. Good old Canada Post. Can always rely on them to mess up my plans. And I did order them in plenty of time this year, so that's not an excuse. Hopefully they do turn up, because the ones from a couple of years ago never did. But that's a whole other story. But if you're listening to your first AFTN Christmas special, you might be wondering what to expect. Well, what we've got in store for you tonight is we're going to be talking football. We'll be looking at some Whitecaps stuff, some MLS news, the CONCACAF Champions League that wrapped up. We'll be talking a little bit CPL. And what we like to do on our Christmas show is just to not just concentrate on the football side of things. So our feature interview in this episode is one that we were very excited to bring you. We've wanted to do it for a couple of years. We've finally got it done. Long-time listeners will know and hopefully love our infamous Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive section. The title music for that segment is by an English band called the New Royal Family, fronted by a Scottish lead singer, David Barnett from Brecon. And after moving that segment over to my East Fife podcast, Glory Days of Gold, David got in touch with us. We got chatting. We thought, we've got to get you on our Christmas special. We've done just that, so that's going to be coming up in parts 3 and 4. And we're also going to be having our usual splattering of Christmas music as well. Not as many Christmas songs as previous years. I'm sure you'll be glad to know that. But we're going to bring you a few throughout the show. And I want to kick those off right now. When you think of Christmas songs, and we've spoken to a lot of players over the years, asked what their favourite Christmas songs are, you tend to find that a lot of them from the UK, or a lot of the guys that have played in the UK, Cal Robinson, David Edgar, Scott Sutter, just to name 3, their favourite song, their favourite Christmas song, is the Pogues' classic Fairy Tale of New York. Well, if you listened to last year's show, you'll know that what we tried to do was all our artists of the month, when it came to the Christmas show, we picked a Christmas song that they had done to play on the show. We've not been able to do that with all our Artists of the Month this year, and we're not playing that many songs this year anyway, but one of our Artists of the Month, way back in March, were a Scottish band from Stornoway in the Western Isles, Pete and Diesel, with a cult following in Scotland. They sing a lot of their songs in Gaelic. If you missed those songs, definitely go and check them out. Some absolute crackers that we played for you back in March. But last year, they brought out a Christmas single, and it was their version of Fairy Tale of New York, featuring another local artist, Mary. And I'm going to bring you that now, kicking off our Christmas festivities. This is Pete and Diesel and Fairy Tale of Stornoway.
Was Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank. An old man said to me, I won't see another one. And then he sang a song by Donny Dotterman. I turned my face away and dreamed about you. Got on a lucky one, came in 18 to 1. I got a feeling this year's for me and you. So happy Christmas. I love you, baby. Can't see a better time when all our dreams come true.
They've got cars big as Mars, they've got rivers of gold. When the wind goes right through you like it does in Cremor. When you first took my hand on the cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome.
Here, pretty Queen of Stornoway City. When the band finished playing, they cried out for more.
The blowers were swinging, the bulldogs were singing.
We kissed on the corner, then danced through the night. And the boys of the SY Village Choir were singing Nail and Fruit. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. How's a lang cat?
How's that lang bigger?
Mycket dolgachie kun je dan mogerij.
Je rudden, je meppen.
Je keilig, je blikkerd. Had de hooiflikkie zalig aan op my feet. And the boys of the SY Village Choir were singing Nail and Fruit. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone.
Well, so could anyone. You took my sheep from me when I first found you.
I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I built my flock around you. And the boys of the SY Village Choir still singing Nail and Fruit. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day.
Pete and Diesel there, Fairy Tale of Stornoway, the first of our Christmas songs in tonight's show. We don't have as many coming up as we usually do, but the ones we've picked, hopefully you'll really enjoy. So let's get into the football chat now, and we're going to start by turning our attentions to Vancouver Whitecaps. Not a lot to talk about this week, but there is a few things I kind of want to bring up with you, and then a couple of things that's happened around MLS. First thing to just mention to you guys, didn't get a chance obviously to get your thoughts on my chat with MDS last week. So, I mean, what did you make of some of the stuff that MDS said there, Zach? I mean, he's talking about wanting to bring in the senior DP. We asked the question that Steve raised, and he said he was very glad that question was asked as to whether we're bringing in a 10 or a 10 that can play an 8 or just an 8 that can play a 10. So, I mean, it looks like we're targeting a 10, but he does feel like in the modern game that the role of your traditional number 10 maybe doesn't exist as much as it used to. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was this time when you were talking to Axel or whatever. You said Pedro Morales was the only one in the MLS era in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I even though he wasn't fully utilized there, I think you have to mention Davide Cubento, just for the record.
Yeah, he would have been if he had been properly utilised. That's the issue. We wasted his talents, I feel.
Yeah, partly because he was the kind of player where it's hard to when you ask him to do a lot of the defensive work, you don't always get the full performance out of him. So that's
he would be a guy that ranges free on the field. Like you can't expect him to come back and support it that way. But that's why with a guy like Cubento, you need a striker that will play defensive, that will cover up for his role.
But in MLS, in the modern game in general, you can't really do that. You can't really do that and let, like you said, Steve, the structure of the team or the roles within the team make up for that.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look at some of the hardest working 10s or some of the hardest working creative players or some of the best 10s or the best creative players, they now are players who are involved in high pressing teams where they are doing a lot of work, but are still also being creative. So things have definitely shifted in the game in general, especially, since 10 years ago when Davide was first here.
So I mean, MDS did say, Steve, the guy that they're bringing in, they want him more in the front of the pitch. Yeah. They don't want him tracking back as much to have to defend as much. They want him to be the playmaker. So I mean, that's positive signs.
No, that's fine. Like if he's playing it, it's not whether who can define somebody as a 10 or an 8 or something like that. It's how they play on the pitch, and that's the most important part. But there's no harm in that guy being a solid defensive player as long as he's got that creativity where he can support the striker. He can bang the ball out to the wings and get it wide or something like that if he needs to. You just need somebody versatile enough to do that. If he's talented enough, if he's a number 8 that's talented enough to be a 10, I have no problem with that. It's just a matter of how he plays on the pitch.
I mean, there's not been a lot of rumours so far this year, which may or may not be a good sign for the Whitecaps. It could be that they're just keeping a closer kind of shroud around what targets they're dealing with, or it might be that there's just not that many targets.
Well, the thing is, I had a funny idea about this. I think this rumors really came into place when they got into that Alphonso Davies money, and now maybe agents are realizing they're not spending it. So there's no point of using the Whitecaps as using them to get more money somewhere else or something like that. Maybe that's what's going on here.
Well, funnily enough, there has been some kind of murmurs over the last couple of months, and the Whitecaps name gets thrown in there. And you're like today, Matarrita from New York City FC, a left back. One of the clubs apparently interested in him, it said, was Vancouver Whitecaps, and it's like, left back is the least of our concerns right now. We've got 2 solid left backs. I don't think we're in the market for a left back.
When those rumors come out, either that agent knows a lot, that he knows maybe that Ali Adnan's moving on, and that's why they're looking at a left back, or he doesn't really pay attention to the roster and he has no idea. So it's either or in this case. I think sometimes it's the agents that are throwing names out there, teams out there, or it's the what do you want to like? The Whitecaps might have inquired about him, like ask, "Oh, is he available?" Or what would it be? it should happen every day of the week because you have to be proactive in identifying where players are.
Oh, absolutely. Just one of the other things I just want to touch on what MDS said was we spoke about adding a defensive piece, an experienced head in the back. I also talked as well about you're seeing all these teams doing big deals for GAM and just like shipping money off all over. And we're sitting on a lot of GAM just now. And he said the club's prepared to do that. They've tried to do that. The deals just haven't come off, which is unfortunately standard that we've heard from the Whitecaps for years. I do genuinely believe it, though, in the case of trading within the league, because if you're wanting a player that's in the league, the selling club is the one that holds all the cards. But it did sound like we are prepared to bring in some MLS experience, and it does sound like he might want to bring somebody in on the back line, a centre-back. And he did mention as well the possibility of, say, a right-back stroke centre-back. So could be a few interesting possibilities out there.
There were a number of things in your conversation with him that were, I think, like a little bit concerning and a little bit like he's in between a rock and a hard place in one sense, right? Because what can he say, right? Like there's a lot that he doesn't control that he can't say much about, right? And so when reflecting on the past, he can't explicitly say things like, yeah, well, we don't have those players because we didn't spend. You know what I mean? He's not going to say that about his employers. But at the same time, even when you asked him about, hey, people have been promised lots in the past and very little has been delivered. He said, I can't tell you, I'm not going to make promises to you. But then he sort of indicated that, they're good, they're willing, or they're going to go out and, if they get the players that he, on his wish list.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't a promise. That was just him saying, right, what he's looking to do, which
he was saying, I'm working. I hope everyone knows I'm working hard and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, but like there was parts of it that were disconcerting. One, because I know what Whitecaps ownership has done with wish lists in the past, and it's not very good. And two, just some of the ways he was even talking about it, it was just a little bit like it left a lot to be desired. Like, I don't know how did it sit with you, Michael, when he used the line, and again, just off the top, like I respect MDS. I think he's a good coach. I think he can do well in this league. I think he could potentially even do well in Vancouver. I think the Vancouver part is what would hold him back from succeeding, the ownership and their approach. But was anyone else like a little bit concerned or put off when he used the language of going from a 6 to an 8? Like, yeah, it's good to go up, but like, why are they not going for a 10 out of 10? You know what I mean? Like he's talking about, like, we want to go. We've been 6 out of 10.
Like upgrading the position, yeah.
Yeah, like okay, it's good. You want to upgrade, but why? Why is there no desire to get to 10? Like
that, yeah.
I think they're
hoping. It was
a
bit odd.
I think that maybe they're hoping that the 8 develops into a 10. Or something like that. Maybe that's what they're looking
actually,
for.
That probably is.
When you go with the young DP.
Yeah, that's spot on. Actually, what it probably is, Steve. Because
so then why communicate that in your public communications? Like it just shows we're not trying to be the best. We're not trying to do. Our ambition is lower than everyone else.
Well, I mean, the only player that's kind of really been named as a guy that the Whitecaps might be interested in is going to be one of these young designated players, 20-year-old Colombian winger Daibar Saicedo. Nashville hold his discovery rights by all accounts and had made overtures to bring him into the league this year, but it didn't happen. Interestingly, the Whitecaps did make an unconnected trade this week with Nashville, sending them $175,000 in GAM, so hitting that GAM that was wanting for a big trade to get an international roster spot, which is the going rate now for an international roster spot, which does feel crazy to me. But so, I mean, it looks like we are clearly bringing in international guys.
It's all about supply and demand. If there's enough players out there like that people want to get in and it's hard to find one, you're going to have to pay extra for it. I'm just wondering, like, can we get rid of this discovery stuff? Like, the players are already out there. Nobody's discovered them. It's their players have been playing there. The fact that somebody's probably got a Messi on their discovery list is pathetic, because everybody knows he's good. Nobody needs to discover him at all.
Steve,
less alone MLS.
Is your concern with just the syntax, like the language?
No, it shouldn't. I don't think people should be put on a list like that. But if you're it's constricting movement basically, and I don't think that's right personally.
But the problem is, Steve,
I agree.
The problem is it's part of. I agree with you in terms of the language. I think the language is poor and could use an upgrade. But when you have a league that is a single entity and players are signing their contract with the league,
yeah,
within that group of teams within the league, you need to have some sort of way to differentiate between who gets what player first, kind of thing.
That's a good point.
I'm not saying
it's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's great, but like within their system, you do need some way to prioritize. So yeah, the language should change, but the mechanism itself, if they're not going to change other things, then they need something to say, like, okay, guys,
especially
especially
to protect the younger, the smaller market teams, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like ourselves. So, I mean, obviously, I did ask MDS a lot of important questions on last week's show. And, I mean, a few people got in touch with me and said, you didn't ask the burning question, the question that we really wanted to know. Don't worry, I did. I just saved it for this episode. So, let's find out just what is Marc Dos Santos's favourite jam.
What's your favourite jam? Traffic jam. What's wrong with raspberry? What's wrong with plum? How's about a blob of elderberry on a scone? What's your favourite jam?
If you were sitting at home at night and you decided you wanted some toast or a crumpet or an English muffin and you wanted to have some jam on it, what's your favourite jam?
Blueberry.
Oh, that's an out of the box one.
Yeah, blueberry jam. I love it.
That's great.
What's your favourite jam?
So, I mean, were you guys surprised that he went for blueberry?
Not really.
Huh.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
No, I mean, blue. He was with the Impact. It makes sense. He's with the Whitecaps. They're blue a little bit.
True, and we'll be talking some Impact stuff in the last part of tonight's show. Just a little bit to wrap up this first part of the show. Canada has announced their training camp for January 21. It feels like having a training camp in Florida in a pandemic might not be the brightest thing to do, but it's the last chance for Canada to get these guys together before the World Cup qualifiers actually start in March 2021. 4 members of the Whitecaps have been called up for this camp. Goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau, centre-back Derek Cornelius, left-back Christian Gutierrez getting his first call-up for the Canadian national team, so that's fantastic.
Isn't he making his official switch or something?
Was he was capped at youth level for Chile, wasn't he?
I thought I read or heard somewhere that he is actually is or is going to make the whatever official switch he needs to. But
interesting. I mean, I'm pleased for him, and Cav is the last of the 4 Whitecaps guys. But for Guti, like when I spoke to him back in January, he did mention then that one of the reasons of him coming to MLS was he wanted to get into the Canadian national team picture. So, I mean, it's fantastic for him getting called up there. But some very other interesting sort of call-ups to this. Goalkeeping-wise, I mean, a guy that had a great Island Games for Valor and then went back and did well for the Impact for a spell, James Pantemis, he's got his call-up. As has Dane St. Clair, who we spoke about it, Zach, had a great season for Minnesota. So good to see those 2 guys in the squad as well as Maxime Crepeau.
I think those are all good call-ups. And this is as much as it is preparation, like you said, for qualifying, this is also like a I forget the Canadian name. Is it Camp Cupcake or what do they call this? Is that what they call it for the Americans?
Oh, for their camp? Yeah, I can't remember.
January camp. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
It's usually not the European players. It's usually MLS players or
Yeah.
players
I mean, this is mostly like domestic-based players, but there are some from overseas, like Sam Arakugbe's coming into it from Valerenga.
'Cause they're off a break
Norway.
too, right?
Yeah.
I think it's good for those players. Dane Sinclair, it's nice to see him there. Yeah, Pantemis, I think earned it. Crepeau, I think is top Canadian keeper in MLS.
Yeah.
Or the top Canadian keeper in MLS, arguably.
Tajon Buchanan's got his call-up after his good year with New England, but Joel Waterman, Montreal
Yes,
Impact, hasn't played a lot for the Impact, but great to see him coming in. BC lad from your old university as well, and it's just really nice to see Joel get his first ever call-up at any level for Canada, so that was good. But Steve,
technically, I went to the seminary there for a little bit, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you kind of went there for more, but anyway.
It's on the campus, yeah, it's connected, it's part of it, yeah.
One of the big ones I want to talk to you about, Steve, though, is Ayo Akinola. John Herdman's called him up for this, just like America called him up for their friendly against El Salvador. So both countries vying for his services just now. At some point, when it's an actual serious game that's going to cap tie him, both countries are going to call him up. So that's when he's going to have to make that decision, and it could come as soon as March next year.
Yeah, the thing is, he's got to take into account that, will he get a better chance at playing in America or Canada? Because America has that tendency to cap tie everybody, and then they end up not using that player again. Like
Teal.
Teal Bunbury. Yeah, Teal Bunbury is the old example that the guy that was half Icelandic or whatever. I haven't heard of him lately at all. I don't remember.
Aaron Johansson?
Yeah, I haven't heard of him. Have you? He hasn't been called up to the American team.
No, he was like half Icelandic, half like Minotaur or something, was he not?
Something. But yeah, they tend to go through a lot of players. Like they'll bring a player in, and then you won't hear him ever again.
Yes.
And he'll be hyped up like to the moon, but then you don't see him again. So he's got to take that into account. I don't know if people actually pay attention to past history or not, but some of these guys should, because you get cap tied once and you're never going to play another international game again.
My understanding is too, because some people I think were a little bit surprised when he played for the States, a while ago, and he scored in that game, right? In that friendly,
I think he did. It was 6-0. I can't remember who exactly scored, but yeah,
I think he scored. But anyways, some people were surprised or hurt or sad or whatever about that. But my understanding is the information that's come out today is that Canada has always been in a conversation with him, and they basically encouraged him, said, hey, go and check out their setup, go and be a part of a camp there and see what it's like, and come and be a part of something else, and then make your decision ahead of when it's time to make the decision. So I think they're trying to play it cool, and do the best they can to make him feel wanted and cared for without pressuring him, saying,
and that's the best way to do it, especially when you're the underdog to get that team, like that player or whatever. You might as well let him explore all his options and just support him that way.
So the other interesting names on that list, Michael, were Marcelo Flores from Arsenal U18s and Theo.
Yeah, I don't know him at all.
Wolves.
Yeah, the Wolves guy as well. I didn't know. I thought you'd maybe want to talk about Boosty getting his first call up since 2017, and very well deserved as well after the season he had.
The other player on this, I think he's been called before and stuff, and I don't think I've seen a lot of him for actual play for TFC, but Noble Okello, you guys know him from TFC, big central midfielder.
No,
really. I've heard of him, but I haven't seen him play that often.
Whenever I play FIFA, usually with my son, we play a career mode as managing Bayern, and then on my own, for fun, I choose a Bundesliga 3 team and start as a coach in the third Bundesliga, and quite often I buy or loan in Noble Okello, and he just rocks it in the third division in Germany, and helps me do very well. But anyways, in the video,
maybe John Herdman does the same.
Yeah. I just recently started AFC Wimbledon, the career mode, so they're starting over there.
Yeah, keep us updated with that.
I will. Huh?
Don't get them bankrupt. Don't bankrupt them.
No, I'm not going to bankrupt. I influxed like $100 million of bankroll in there to start off the thing, and I recreated Plow Lane as well. Not Totally recreated, but I built a facsimile.
Well, they've moved
You and
back
your
to
family have been
Play Right now.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I created like in the game they don't have that available, so
yeah.
I kind of created a different stadium.
Well, that is it for this part. We are going to be back talking some MLS and CONCACAF Champions League stuff after this.
Hi, I'm Marc Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
They said there'd be snow at Christmas. They said there'd be peace on earth. But instead it just kept on raining. A veil of tears for a virgin birth. I remember one Christmas morning, the winter's light and a distant choir, the peal of a bell and that Christmas tree smell, and eyes full of tinsel and fire. Sold me a dream of Christmas. They sold me a silent night. They told me a fairy story till I believed in the Israelite. And I believed in Father Christmas, and I looked to the sky with excited eyes, and I woke with a yawn in the first light of dawn, and I saw him right through his disguise.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show Christmas Special on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's a guy that we're going to be mentioning later on in our feature interview with David Barnett. It's Keith, Top of the Pops. From his newly released Christmas album, The Complete Keith's Christmas Covers Collection, Volumes 1 and 2. All of that spelt with the letter K. You can find that on Bandcamp. Just go to the hits of Keith, TOTP.bandcamp.com to get hold of that album. Keith Top of the Pops is a guy that's collaborated with a number of bands from the English indie scene over the years. Was also the producer of Art Brut's first two albums. As David Barnett said there, he plays guitar on some of these songs. And the song we picked for you tonight was a cover of a Greg Lake song from 1975. That is The Lake from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Got to number 2 in the charts in the UK back in the mid-70s. And that was I Believe in Father Christmas. So you guys feeling in the Christmas spirit then?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's a bit of a different Christmas show, as I kind of explained, but...
Sorry, I should let everybody know that Zach did nod, which is not great for...
Sorry, I don't know, though. Was that a podcast question or just...
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Zach's the only one wearing, like, a Santa hat.
And that's all I'm wearing.
I got a soccer ball with a reindeer on behind me.
That's true. I've got a dog that I did put antlers on, but they were on for 2 seconds before she ripped them off. She did not like antlers.
Oh.
I guess street dogs don't often get antlers put on them in Mexico. It's just a thought I've now had, but... So, I mean, like, presents-wise, are you guys expecting any football-related presents this year? I ask you this every year, and the answer is usually no, but I'll ask again.
Think so.
No, I don't think there's a Fraser Valley Camp PL team under my tree yet.
But for once, you guys are getting some soccer-related presents.
Oh, interesting.
From you?
Yeah, soccer-related.
Steve, I have a gift for you, but I don't think you're going to like it that much.
I don't care.
You sort of told me once you don't like it, but I want to get it for you anyways.
No, it's fine. I don't. I never.
What a great present!
Right.
way to build it up. No, I
don't. Set the bar low. You got to set the bar low, and then boom.
I don't mind any gift is good, man. I don't not like any gifts.
I've got you two the same gift, and I also bought myself the gift.
Oh, you guys have the same gift too.
Oh, excellent!
So you guys are gonna have to open it.
You guys do not have the same gift for me.
If yours ever arrives,
same size for both of you.
This is harking back as same size. Interesting. Hopefully,
no, I'm just kidding.
Hopefully,
it's
in medium.
It's not clothing. It's not clothing. It's not clothing.
Yeah, your present's coming from China.
Again,
the one that never arrived 2 years ago. That still somewhere in Canada Post vaults, but anyway.
If it's clothing, put it in the... Yeah, if it's clothing, make sure just put it in a wash before you give it to us.
It's not this year. It's good. It's not. It's something we can all enjoy together. That's all I'll say. I've got a couple of football-related gifts that I'm getting this year, and I know that because I made Caitlin order it. I stood over her shoulder while she was on the websites doing it. That's the only way I get what I want. So I'm getting a Scottish football book called Snapshot, which is a photographic essay just capturing old football grounds in Scotland and some unique grounds and like the Highlands and Islands and stuff. So, I mean, that looks very good. It's produced by the guys that do Nutmeg magazine, which some listeners might know. I'm in the latest issue of that, actually. I was interviewed for our whole Cowden family song that caused a lot of furore a couple of years ago in Scotland, I think 1996, so more than a couple of years ago, when we were on BBC television and watched by 17 million people singing an abusive song about the people of Cowdenbeath. People of Cowdenbeath didn't like that, apparently.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. You have to go onto like AFTN website's YouTube account and like watch the original clip from the show that we were on singing the song, but then also the Scottish Television News report a couple of days later where they just went around the streets of Cowdenbeath asking people what they thought about people from Methil calling folk in Cowdenbeath dirty and smelly and poor and scummy. And one woman's like, "That's terrible, he should be shot."
The best football gift I ever got was, I probably told you guys before, but one year my wife just did one of, I think through like an online service or whatever, but just made a coffee table book of like of tifos that we've done over the years.
Oh, nice.
That's probably my favorite football gift that I've ever gotten.
Mine is the one that Michael gave me because it's the only football gift I've ever gotten.
Maybe not strip. For much longer.
The comic strip one. Remember the comic strip
one?
Oh,
yeah, actually. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm going to keep stim. I am getting another book as well, Extra Time by Daniel Gray. It's his third book. Kind of harken back for people my age to football days of past. We're going to actually have Daniel on the show next year for an interview, so watch out for that.
I was actually going to get you a book, but I had no idea if you would have it or not, and I didn't want to order it. Because you got too many. You should send a list once.
That's Caitlin's issue with me. She can't buy me anything because I just buy myself stuff over the course of the year. But since we're talking about football books, I bought a book for Marc Dos Santos last year for Christmas that I never gave him because I wanted to read it. And I was going to give it to him for Christmas this year, but I never finished reading it. But I confessed that to him and we had a little chat about football books. Let's see what kind of books MDS reads. So Mark, in the past we've talked about what football movies and what football documentaries that you like to watch to pass the time. If I kind of turn the attention now to books about football, and I've got to be honest with you here, at Christmas I actually bought you a Christmas present. It was the book Football Hackers, The Science and Art of a Data Revolution by Christoph Biermann. Now, this was a book that I thought would be of interest to you, and I wasn't really sure if you would have read it or not.
No, never.
I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's basically, the blurb in the back says, "The future of football is now." And it's a look at how football's data revolution has only just begun, and it's looking at like how clubs are using advanced metrics and detailed analysis, and how it's already reshaping the modern game, and how it's only going to be used even more in the future. And the guy that wrote this has kind of travelled around the world looking at how clubs have implemented it, and including clubs in the US as well. And my other confession is, like I say, I did buy you this for Christmas, but then I kind of started reading it and I thought, oh, this is really good. And I never got much into it by Christmas, so I thought, oh, well, I'll just kind of keep it for now. And then I still haven't really got too much into it, but I want to try and read that over the next couple of weeks, and then I'll make sure that I get it to you.
Perfect. Yeah, please do. I would love to be reading a football book right now.
Do you read many football books? I mean, what?
I read a lot on leadership. I don't read only on football. I read the biography even as Tony Dungy, former NFL coach.
Yeah.
I like to read about leadership, about people, how they manage groups. But earlier in my career, I would read a lot of books, a lot of documentaries on coaches. I read some documentaries, some biography of Carlo Ancelotti. I read two of Jose Mourinho. I read the Pep Guardiola one. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dear sir or madam, will you read my book? Here's to write. Will you take a look? Based on a novel by a man named Lear, and I need a job, so I want to be a paperback writer. Paperback writer.
So MDS there, he's a big fan of leadership books and reading about like leaders in sport, like Tony Dungy. He mentioned Steve. He likes like reading stuff like that. So yeah, I will get that book to him at some point next year. I nearly got it to him for this Christmas, but
he's only got a year left on the contract. Make sure you get it to him.
Oh, I've still got quite a few chapters of it to go.
Michael, does his copy come with like your highlights and your writings in the margins or stuff that he shouldn't miss?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel, I hope he takes it in the spirit it's meant, which is, this is a good book. Just because I'm giving you a book on how to scout players and bring decent players to a football club, I'm not casting aspersions on what you're doing at the club. I just want to like stress that now for anyone that is listening. I mean, it wasn't like when I gave Tommy Soane the big book of football tactics back in 2011. That was a whole other thing. The idiot's guide to football management. Anyway, since we're back talking about football in a way, I want to talk to you about something that was peak MLS that happened this week. I mean, the drafts have been going. It's been pretty uneventful. I've been worried all year, as regular listeners for the show will know, that Corona was just going to spread throughout MLS. And here he is, Joe Corona. He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where. Corona, Corona, Corona. Drafted by Austin in the expansion draft. Not yet signed in the 3 days that Austin had to do a deal. Now selected in the re-entry draft by Houston Dynamo, who now own his MLS right. Steve, let's come to you first because Zach's gone.
Clearly, yeah. Like it's something that you would think that they would allow an expansion team to talk to players to see if they're interested in coming there. Clearly, he wasn't interested in coming to Austin, but he'd rather go to Houston, which is not that far away.
Yeah. He could have pulled himself out of the re-entry draft, but he didn't, so that's telling.
Yeah, they need to get a better idea what's going on. This is like shades of Espindola all over again.
I mean, the fact that it's a guy called Corona as well in 2020 is just like, mwah, chef's kiss.
And the fact that he moved to like 3 different places, he could attract the Corona.
Yes. Oh. And I mean, go to Texas at least. It's there or Florida is the place that he really should have landed. So.
Well, it would be awesome if somebody from Florida, one of the Inter Miami, traded for him or something like that, and brought him in.
I hear they've gone for Patrick Plaguet, the French striker. They're going to bring him in instead. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, what? Because I was at work and someone sent me a DM going, "You seen this?" And I'm like, what the actual fuck? And then like reading it, and it's like, oh, I guess it makes sense in the way that MLS is.
Did anybody play with the headline at all?
I didn't see that at all, and I didn't write anything on it. Otherwise, I definitely would have. But...
easy one was Corona spreads across Texas.
Yeah, that could very well be a headline just any day of the week at the moment. But I just wanted to mention that. But since we're talking about MLS teams, MLS's quest for landing a CONCACAF Champions League fell short just again. I was torn. I kind of wanted LAFC to do it just because of Mark Anthony Kaye. I thought it would be nice for him, and he had a nice hand in the first 2 goals of the game, really. Setting up LAFC's opener and some horrific defending. I've watched it a couple of times. I still don't really know what happened with him. I guess he just fell over. But they were 7 minutes from taking the game to penalties. And then Gignac. I'd texted Zach saying, oh, can you imagine Gignac and Cavallini up front for the Whitecaps? And then I thought, how old is he now? Oh, he's 35. Okay, maybe not. In my head, he was still just about 32. Yeah, well, yeah. I genuinely thought he was still just 32, 33, because folk don't age in my head.
Yeah.
But, I mean, did you watch the final? What did you make of it? The semi, let's actually talk about the semi first of all. Did you watch LAFC's semi against Club America?
That would be a no for me, sorry.
Wow.
I didn't, but my wife has also asked me to stop laughing so loud because I'm being too loud.
Oh.
No, I didn't catch the semis at all. I've been busy and doing stuff and whatever, but I did catch part of the Tigers eating the goats.
So you didn't see the sending off then of Atuesta?
No, tell me.
Oh, so him and the keeper go for the ball, and to me it was a penalty actually, and Atuesta to start with. Ochoa, the keeper, goes down and kind of like is in his face, and all Atuesta does is put his hand up. It doesn't make contact with Ochoa. He goes down clutching everything. Atuesta gets sent off. There's no VAR. So LAFC at that point are 1 goal down and a man down. And then they came out and scored 3 goals in the second half to get into the final.
But they lost them for the final.
They did. And there's no appeal either.
That's a joke.
CONCACAF are introducing VAR next year, but because this is the 2020 final, they said we're not adding it in. But if any region in the world needs VAR, it's CONCACAF.
Yeah. I can imagine that it'll help Bob Bradley sleep well this Christmas, knowing that they're bringing it in next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but But of CONCACAF VAR, is that going to be the same level as any other VAR? Or is it going to be just you're getting
but like on occasion,
you've still got a CONCACAF ref looking at it.
For the VARs, yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. But on
his leg's still hanging on. Of course, it's not a free kick.
Where there's no contact, and you have a player who's embellished like Ochoa, and I don't really like Ochoa. Like then at least you can like. There's a mechanism for setting the record straight, and you need multiple people to be incompetent to get it wrong in VAR, typically.
Yeah.
Right? So
it was just like,
you're right, it's not past them.
Yeah, it was a bad example. I said this in last week's show. I liked having the Champions League at this time of year because there's no other football on, and it was some exciting games, and I wouldn't mind if they did that every year. Shitty for the players because you're away, and I guess if you then go back, you're gonna have to quarantine before Christmas and stuff. But anyway. But yeah, the wait is still there for an MLS team, so the Whitecaps still have that chance of being the first MLS team to win the CONCACAF Champions League. Anyway, that is it for the football chat for now. We're going to be back in part 5 talking a bit more, but coming up after our next Christmas song is our feature interview for this week. We'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Alphonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Children laugh. It makes me want to run a bath. Sat around the Christmas tree, bringing down my family. Sat around the Christmas tree. Sorry about my misery. My favourite thing about Christmas time used to be finishing everybody's glasses of wine.
Christmas coming into town. All the kids are frantically screaming. Christmas coming into town. It's all about love. Oh, this is the season.
I never liked Christmas, but since I met you, I want to grab it with both fists and give it a big kiss. I love the socks your grandma made. I want to set them on fire on Christmas Day. I know we promised not to get each other gifts. You're the only person on my Christmas gift list. You're my dream partner, I'll never give you up. Let's go to bed and... It didn't take 3 ghosts to know I needed someone new under the mistletoe. It didn't take 3 ghosts to show me you're my Christmas, one and only.
Christmas coming into town. All the kids are frantically screaming. Christmas coming into town. It's all about love. Oh, this is the season.
Good or bad this year is nobody's business. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Good or bad this year is nobody's business. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Die Hard is a Christmas film and so is Die Hard 2. I want to drink some Glühwein and watch them both with you. Good or bad this year is nobody's business. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show 2020 Christmas Special on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And the Christmas song kicking off this part was the flip side to a song that we played on last year's AFTN Soccer Show. We also gave it an airing last episode as well. German band Gurr, featuring Art Brut's Eddie Argos. That was Christmas One and Only, a Christmas single that they released in 2018, Love both sides of that. Love the videos for both the tracks as well. Check them out on YouTube. Gurr, of course, were our Artists of the Month for January this year. Eddie Argos's Art Brut were Artists of the Month back in 2018. As was his good friends, the New Royal Family. The band which penned the classic Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive? The song that spawned a section all of its own, not just here on the AFTN Soccer Show, but also on my East 5 podcast, Glory Days of Gold. Last year we mentioned that we were wanting to try and get hold of lead singer David Barnett to have a chat with him about the song and just a few more things as well. Never managed to make that come off, unfortunately. But then, 2020 is a weird year. I don't need to tell you that. So as I mentioned there, started an East 5 podcast with my good friend Lee Gillis back in Scotland. And of course, I can't do an AFTN podcast without having Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive. I mean, if there's one section that epitomises the show, it's that. So we started doing it on Glory Days of Gold. Became very popular over in Fife as well. So much so, in fact, that word actually got back to New Royal Family lead singer David Barnett that the song was getting used on our shows and was the title of a whole segment all in itself. So he got in touch with us, we got chatting, and we thought, what is better for our Christmas special than to sit down for a chat with the man himself? He's not a football fan, but we've got a great little chat that we had with him coming up over the next 2 parts. A lot of music chat, a lot of chat about the song, and a lot more besides. So grab your hot beverage of choice, sit back, ideally with a chocolate digestive, and enjoy part 1 of our chat with New Royal Family lead singer and writer of Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive, David Barnett. So I am delighted now to tell everyone to get down with the sound that makes you jump around, because we have the lead singer of the New Royal Family with us. It's the one, the only, David Barnett. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing very well indeed, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to finally get you on the show. You're our first guest. You're making history that is being interviewed for both the AFTN Soccer Show and Glory Days of Gold. So you're going to be on both podcasts across the Atlantic. Both are Christmas specials because it's that kind of special interview. And for any new listeners, you've probably got no idea why we're doing this. But for regular listeners...
No, I'm not sure I do, to be honest. But
well, yeah. But we'll get into how all this has played out then. Because let's be honest, it's been a bizarre couple of weeks, I think, especially for David, when he discovered that his song that he wrote, you didn't write it, but it was released about 13 years ago. I believe you wrote it way earlier than that when you were at high school. Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive?
Yes.
Our cult classic on both podcasts. I think we're due him a bit of royalty from playing it for the last 4 years on our show here in Vancouver. But I'm sure we'll come to that. We'll maybe let that slide. But, first of all, let's get into the ins and outs of this song. Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive? When did you write it? Why did you write it? And surely your biggest song ever.
Well, it's quite a convoluted tale, but I imagine your listeners are used to long periods of boredom punctuated by pain. So the funny thing about Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive is it's actually a cover version. It is originally a song by a band called Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive, which was pretty much my first band when I was at school in Brechin, which is not too far from East Fife, anyway. We were basically Sex Pistols fans as teenagers, and we used to make a racket in the music room. They had a drum kit and some guitars there. So me and some friends, Callum Clark, who was called Nam, he was kind of like a bit like a sort of punk Simon Le Bon. I don't know why he was called Nam. I don't think he ever was involved in combat operations in Southeast Asia, but he was called Nam. And then there was a guy called Stuart Finney who played the drums, and he was like a cross between Animal from the Muppets and Vivian from the Young Ones. And his party trick was to throw what he would call an epi-fit, which involved falling off his drum kit, thrashing around and knocking them over. The funny thing, not really funny, the thing was he actually was epileptic. So it was difficult to know whether he was doing it for a laugh or whether he was, in serious jeopardy. So there was us three, and there was also a bass player called Nick Tom, who is now actually like a chief constable or something in the police in Scotland. He was on the news recently, but Nick never turned up it's one of those things when you're in a band at school, you're kind of in a band, but you don't really do much apart from go around saying, hey, we're in a band. So I don't think he even played at a rehearsal. So it was really the three of us, and we mainly did Sex Pistols covers. I think originally we were called the Orgy Shotguns, which is nice. Just like Sex Pistols with other words. And then I think it was me that came up with the name Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive. It was in a copy of Smash Hits, I think, one of their jokes. So that was the name of the band, and we changed it to we spelled chocolate with a K because that's kind of punk rock. And we didn't have very many songs. We'd written a song called Who is Ernie Ledbetter? I think it was about a escaped Nazi war criminal on the run or something. And we got offered, our mate's dad had a 4-track recorder, which was kind of the height of technology at the time. And he offered to record some stuff. So we kind of went, oh, well, Who is Ernie Ledbetter will be the single, but we need a B-side. So why don't we do one like a theme song like the Monkees, Hey, Hey, we're the Monkees or something. And I can't remember which way around it was, but either me or Nam went, Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? And the other one instantly went, no, thank you, it sounds suggestive. And that was kind of it. And we thought, oh, right, that's right, let's work out the chords. And it's only got 2 chords, as you can probably tell, over and over again, and the same words over and over again. I remember saying, we do need some more words. And I wrote the line about your brain being rejected or whatever. And that was it. And we recorded that. And I kind of forgot about it. We played one gig at the Angus show in Arbroath. And I forgot about it until many years later when I'd been in a band called The Boyfriends.
Yes.
And we kind of split up in great acrimony, as bands tend to do. It was a hilarious story. Thousands of pounds money stolen by our manager and so on. Anyway, we were due to play this charity gig that I'd agreed to do at the end of the year. And obviously we'd split up, so it was difficult to do. So I was a friend of the promoter, and I think he was kind of like, oh God, our star turn isn't doing it. So I said, look, I'll put together an all-star ensemble band to fill this gap. And I was at a party with Charlie Stone, who had been the guitarist in Gay Dad, and is actually in Salad now. She was in Salad back then, but is back in Salad now. And loads of bands. She's been in millions of bands, and she's a great guitarist. And I was kind of talking to her about it, and she said, I'll do it. And then we got Richard from The Boyfriend said, oh, I'll play the bass. And we've got Jen, the drummer, and Alex was playing keyboards for us then. And I was originally we were going to do, I think, some Boyfriend songs, but they proved too difficult. So I said, look, I've got these songs I wrote when I was like a teenager, and they're all really easy. They're a bit stupid, but I think we could do them. We could learn them easily. So that's what we did. And I think we were missing one. We kind of like, well, we need one more song. And I went, well, there's this really stupid one, but it's really easy. It's only got 2 chords, so you'll pick it up in no time. So that is Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive. That's how it got added. And inevitably, that was the one everybody remembered and liked. And I can't remember how the single came about, to be honest. But when it happened, it was like, yeah, we want that song, please. And that brings us up to 2007. And I'm dying to know how the next, that's kind of the first 2 phases of the song. I'm looking forward to you telling me what the hell happened next.
Yeah, well, I'm also looking forward to you telling me how you find out that we knew about it. So, basically, the background to this is on the AFTN Soccer Show podcast. We started that in 2013. So then after doing it for a few years, I started to add in some more fun segments. So our manager at the time, Carol Robinson, Welsh international player, I decided to, because we're both from a fanzine background. So my football fanzine back in
there's a big fanzine football music crossover with fanzines, isn't it? That's kind of like the middle of the vein, I think.
Well, our whole thing, AFTN, Away From the Numbers, is named after a Jam B-side. So it comes basically from that. So I've always done weird and wacky segments in the fanzine on our website. So we started to do more of them in the show. To be honest, I describe our Canadian show as a UK-style football show that nobody in Canada really understands, with lots of UK humour. But for some reason, they think, oh, this must be funny because he's telling us it's funny.
Is that what people think UK football shows are like? Then?
I think so, yeah. Because they just think of wacky UK comedy, and it's like, oh, yeah, he obviously knows what he's doing here. So also, it was something that wasn't being done by other shows as well. So I was asking our manager it was like Carol Robinson's question of the week. And one of the weeks it was, what's your favourite biscuit? So all these interviews he's doing about...
I can see where this is going now, you're right.
Yeah. So his was a bourbon, to be fair.
Sure.
And so we do things like, because he was Welsh, it's like super furry animals or stereophonics. And sadly, he picked stereophonics, whereas the correct answer was obviously the super furry animals. And he picked bourbon, and I had said, because I had corrected him, I said, no, the right answer is super furry animals. And it's like, well, it's my question. I was like, well, yeah. So then
we don't want your opinion, we want the right answer.
We want the right answer here. So we'd done stuff like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. So then we had got down to, what's your favourite biscuit? And this is our main training sessions where there's other journalists around asking serious questions. And I'm just like, what's your favourite biscuit, Carol? So he had said bourbon, and I was like, no, chocolate digestive. So then I started asking the other coaching staff what their favourite biscuit was. And then I thought, I need to do this as an actual segment. And then Eddie Argos from Art Brute had mentioned your band on his Facebook page. Or I think you were doing a gig 2016, 15, 16 in London. You'd kind of got back together to do a couple of gigs or something. He was plugging you or the band or the gig or something like that. And I think he shared the video to Chocolate Digestive, or I went and just looked on YouTube and found the video. It was one of those two things, and I was like, oh, this song is a marriage made in heaven now for the segment that I am going to do, because not only is it giving the correct answer, it's giving us a fun introduction. It's catchy. Football fans love a catchy song that they can sing and chant. So then I replayed the Carol Robinson big question thing as this segment, and then started doing all the other ones. Then it became a case of any Whitecaps player that joined the club, we would say to them, okay, you're not a Whitecaps player till you answer this question. And then it's a 3-part question, which we will do with you at the end. What if you're making a hot beverage at home? What is your hot beverage of choice? Mm-hmm. Are you a biscuit fan? What's your favourite biscuit? And do you dunk? Ooh. So that is our segment. So we'll come to that at the end with you. Goodness. So then we started doing it that you're not a Whitecaps player.
Are there right and wrong answers to that as there are with the question?
There is, to me, the correct answer.
I made a point here if that's the case.
Well, the correct answer to me would be just a cup of tea with a chocolate digestive, and yes, you do dunk. I feel that is the correct answer.
That's the Trinity. That's the Holy Trinity of the answer. However, as you're essentially royalty, and I hope you get the pun there, you can answer whatever you want.
That's really true.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, because we have had some folks say rich tea biscuits, and I'm appalled when that is their answer.
I think a rich tea does go very well. I mean, this is jumping the gun, isn't it? We're getting into the biscuit chat a little early.
Yes.
But I do feel a rich tea is very good with a cup of tea. And for me, a chocolate digestive is more of a coffee accompaniment. But
interesting.
But I don't want to stoke up too much controversy this early.
Well, my wife is a rich tea fan, I have to say, because she's not a big chocolate biscuit fan.
Right.
But I mean, it causes big arguments. How we've stayed married for 18 years, I don't know.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. How she puts up with me, actually, talking about stuff. If you think Lee has no idea as to what we talk about, my Canadian wife, who is 11 years younger than me, and I'm making her watch TV shows from the late 70s, and she's like, I don't understand this. Or worse, putting on things like Bless This House, Love Thy Neighbour, and she's like...
No, that is retro.
These are very inappropriate to be playing nowadays. Anyway, but back to that. So we started doing that, asking the players, which we get a lot of foreign players here. So when you ask a guy that's English is very basic what his favourite biscuit is, and also biscuit in North America is a different thing.
Oh, yeah, isn't it? It's like a cake or something.
Yeah, it's a kind of breakfast thing, like a scone that you get a lot with fried chicken.
Oh, my.
And it's a kind of flaky thing. Yeah.
Oh.
So
what do you call it? Is it cookie? Is it cookie?
Yeah, cookie. Well? So sometimes we have to say cookie, but then that leads Americans into just saying chocolate chip.
This is giving me some great ideas for the next album.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we're looking forward to the tour of Vancouver, where you will probably sell out. That would be the weird thing in all of this. I could probably get a gig here sold out for you. But anyway.
That would be marvellous.
So then we started our East 5 podcast.
Thank you. That's my PA's just brought me in some crumble and custard. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, nice. We need to get a PA, Lee. Where's Rachel?
Rhubarb crumble and custard. That that probably appeals to your 70s nostalgia.
I could play the rhubarb theme and do something like that. Because we also do a jam segment. What's your favourite jam? With the Ivor Cutler song Jam. I don't know if you've heard that.
Right.
That was like before we even did the chocolate digestive section. What usually happens is I'm driving along, I'm playing some obscure compilation album on CD. A song pops up and I'm like, oh, that's a song about jam. I should start asking people what their favourite jam is.
Right.
Because no one does things like that. There's maybe a good reason why nobody does. Yeah. There could be reason why you don't see Sky Sports people doing these kind of interviews, and also maybe why Lee and me are not on Sky Sports. But then we started the East 5 podcast this year. I threw this segment in the first episode without telling Lee. And then, to be fair, some folk don't like it. Just like some folk don't like chocolate digestives. But I've persevered. If I think something's right, I keep going with it, despite what folk may tell me.
Right.
So now it's like we're going to do it that you're not an East 5 player unless you've answered this question.
And it's one of those sections like that people do really actually like. And if there is like a week that we've not had it, they're like, why is there no chocolate digestive? It's honestly the most random thing. Like, I remember my boss texting me because he listened to the show and he was like, the chocolate digestive section is really weird. And then after it, he's like, no, I actually quite like that now. It was after we had a player that played for us. He's actually a qualified doctor and he went over and played in America and stuff. And a lot of people listened to that one because he's really well known in football. And then after that, I think that we started to get like a sort of mini cult following. I don't think it's as big as Michael's and across the pond, but we'll get it there. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I have people they're in supermarkets and they take a picture of digestives they found on the shelf and send me it. And I'm like, thanks for thinking of me.
But is that not because they're not so ubiquitous in Canada?
Yeah. And for me, it has to be McVitie's. It can't be anything else. There are some generic homegrown ones over here in Canada that I'm appalled with because it has to be.
I enjoyed your fact about the fact that digestives originally were digestives. They were kind of, like medical aids to ease digestion, weren't they? Which is quite extraordinary.
I've always been a bit obsessed with digestives. I don't know why. So that's my explanation. So our big burning question is, how the hell did you find out that we were using this song?
Well, it's not a very exciting answer. I just got an email or a Facebook message from Caroline Richards, who is the woman that made the video for the song. In fact, made both our videos. and she's like a proper film editor person. She's done stuff with Julian Temple, and she's actually making a film about Shane McGowan at the moment. But for some reason, she helped us out as well back in the day, and I think it was the video that made it. Anyway, she got in touch and said, David, do you know these guys that from East Fife? Like, you're from near there. Are they your mates or something? I'm like, what? Like the East Fife Football Club. Do you know? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So yeah, they do this. They do this thing on their podcast about with your song. And I'm like, what? And I said, yeah, look. And then he's like, send me a link. And, oh my goodness. And then she said, yeah, and it seems to be like every week. It's crazy. What? So yeah, and then I think then I got in touch with one of you, and you replied, and then said, and it's also even more the case in Vancouver. At which point I thought, this is basically like searching for Sugar Man, isn't it? It's like you could call it searching for Biscuit Man. Here I am languishing in obscurity in my hometown, and yet like the other side of the world, I'm like massive. This is hilarious. So I love it. Thank you very much, guys. It really has made my week.
Well, thank you for not suing us for using your song.
Well, not yet. No.
We were going to bring out
merchandise. I'm going to count the royalties that we've made from people buying it since, and then use that money to get a great lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, that is only fair. We were going to bring out T-shirts over here in Canada, but I'm quite lazy and I never ever got round to it. So if you want to bring out New Royal Family digestive T-shirts, we will plug those, and you will
Stranger
sell.
things have happened. I mean, we're technically split up, so that makes things a little awkward, and also the fact that nobody can really leave the house or do anything now.
Yeah, there is that.
A little bit difficult. And I've got a 3-month-old beautiful baby daughter that's taking up a lot of my time. So activity will be slow, but who knows what might happen. We're supposed to have a DVD compilation coming out actually called Everyone Wants to Shag the New Royal Family. But that's Caroline's making that, and she's been promising us it for at least 2 years. I think probably more than that. But because she does everything for us as a favor, we get put behind people like Shane McGowan and Julian Temple when she's got stuff to do. So
I guess that makes sense.
To look forward to.
But it's nice to know that we are connected with a band that work at the kind of pace that I work at. I've taken 4 years to have an idea of my head of, I should maybe do a T-shirt for that since it's popular. Whereas Lee, on our Glory Days of Gold podcast, he's brought out so much merchandise and stuff for us this year. And
really?
I'm just like,
what have you got? Have you got anything you can send me?
Yes.
I feel like I should wear something, a rosette, or a scarf or something.
A face mask, if you'd like.
Oh,
even I don't have that, so it's like it's a really neat face mask. I had said we were probably going to talk for 15-20 minutes, but I did say that I could talk to you for hours, and I know this is probably going to go into a long thing. There's going to be folk listening to this, Lee, that are like, I have no interest in this. This has nothing to do with football.
Well, I'm really hoping that you can edit this quite viciously. And...
I'm putting it all out in full.
Oh goodness.
That's what I do with my interviews.
I'd just like to apologise to your listeners.
What's going to be on our Christmas special?
And assure you that normal service will be restored at some point.
This is our first Glory Days of Gold Christmas special, and it's our 7th or 8th AFTN Soccer Show Christmas special. So they're always a bit weird. They usually feature Frank Sidebottom songs, who is another person that I've introduced to a number of people over here in Canada. Do you know Frank Sidebottom, actually, Lee?
Guy with a big head.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yes.
Difficult to miss.
Yeah.
There's a documentary on about him on Sky at the moment.
I got the DVD. I don't know if it's the same one, Being Frank.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I bought the DVD of that.
Bizarrely, I kind of know his backing band. Paul, Guided Missile, and Rodri and that lot were his backing band, like towards the end of his time on Earth.
Like Guided Missile as in the record company?
That's the one, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Small world, wouldn't like to dust it.
Yeah. Also, like for just to let Lee know, like there's also good football connections with Frank Sidebottom. He has a few football songs, which I haven't played in Wavelength, so I'll dig one of those out. But he also actually formed a football team, Timperley Big Shorts.
He really did.
Yes. And I have like some Timperley Big Shorts merchandise.
Oh, wow.
Some original from the actual football team. I've got a tracksuit from the actual football team. And then they've been bringing out for just his company a lot of Timperley Big Short stuff. So yeah, check that out. Anyway, let's get back to other stuff. So let's talk about the video for Digestive.
Right. Yes.
Now, I love it because I'm a big Adam and the Ants fan. You're clearly a big Adam and the Ants fan.
Good.
And there is so many Adam and the Ants references in that video that it's fantastic. Just tell us a little bit about the video, why you put those references in. Obviously, the band New Royal Family is named after a line from an Adam and the Ants song. So just tell us about your Adam and the Ants fixation.
It's partly named after that, but it's also I'm a big fan of the Sex Pistols, obviously, and more so Public Image Limited, really. And apparently, one of the early names, some of the early names for the New Royal Family, for the Public Image, were the Carnivorous Buttock Flies, which I thought was a good name, and also the Royal Family. So I kind of thought the Royal Family, I'd always thought that was a good name, and then I thought, oh, New Royal Family, because that's like, it's not the same, but it's also like the Adamant song. So that's kind of where it came about. The reason for all the Adamant references is because originally I knew Caroline, who made the video, via the Adamant fan community. She's a massive Adamant fan and used to organize conventions. And I'd been to a few of those and I kind of met her through that. So she, and that's kind of how she got into video editing. She used to do these collages of his videos and live footage to show at these conventions.
Oh, cool.
So I think I knew her, I'd worked with her with various other bands that I was managing and stuff like that. And I think I said, we've got a band, would you like to make a video? And I think the idea was just that we would just walk to Buckingham Palace and then offer whoever was at the gate a chocolate digestive. That was kind of the idea. I thought, let's just do that, just film it, see what happens. And then, of course, Caroline being Caroline, she came up with this really complicated storyline and I call it this idea with all these in-jokes in. And then I thought, I love this idea of like having these ludicrously obscure Adamant references that I mean, nobody's going to watch this in the first place, I thought. So we might as well just go crazy and do all that stuff. So she did it and it was great. And I think, we had a competition. I can't remember where it went, but we had a competition to see who could spot the most Adamant references. And the great thing about that was that people wrote in with ones that we hadn't even spotted as well, or ones that they imagined. So that's how that came about. And it was quite early on in YouTube time, and it got 15,000 views or something back then, which for us was incredible. I mean, that seemed a lot. I mean, it's not massive when you consider what things get nowadays, but it was very exciting. So yeah, that's the end of that story.
You need to check the analytics to see how many recent ones have been from Canada, actually. I'd be quite curious about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've tweeted it out a few times. I'm
not even sure if it's on my YouTube page or who's...
It's on I'm pretty sure it's on the actual New Royal Family's YouTube page. I'm one of the few subscribers to that channel.
Probably a little bit quiet of late.
And of course, as we talk, you're wearing the hat that you wore in the video.
Yes, I thought I'd just put that on to kind of like, ingratiate myself with the Scots.
Yeah, that's a little Easter egg for everybody.
I did find out. I wore it in Kilburn when we played a gig there, and then I found out that apparently it's really unpopular with Irish people because of some British soldiers shooting civilians. So
don't wear it on
I'm not wearing it with any political agenda, I assure you.
Well, that's good. Well, that kind of feels as good a time as any to take a little break, and we'll be back talking more music with David and a lot more, and finding out his answers to our section after this.
This is Atiba Hutchinson, and you're listening to the AFTN Show.
Let's all sing the Christmas medley. Switch on the hi-fi, switch on the TV. Let's all sing the Christmas medley now. Oh, spaceship in the sky with a big fat spaceman, and he was singing. I seen a spaceman singing. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley. Switch up the hi-fi, switch up the TV. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley now. Oh. Holy three kings of an Oriental, one in a taxi and one in a car, one on a scooter, beeping his water, traveling far like jam in a jar. Star of wonder, star of bright, star with royal beauty bright, a westward leading, still proceeding. So let's all sing Be Christmas medley. Switch up the hi-fi, switch up the TV. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley now. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Going through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh, shouting as I go, will you please move out of the way? Christmas is very expensive, but I never fail to have a couple of bob and buy for the January sale. Oh, jingle bells, Batman spells, Robin's run away. Santa's lost his lollipop, so we bought a Milky Way. So let's all sing Be Christmas medley. Switch off the hi-fi, switch off the TV. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley now. One more time. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley. Let's all sing Be Christmas medley now. Now. Thank you.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show Christmas Special on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And we can't have a Christmas special without playing a Christmas song from favourite here at AFTN, Frank Sidebottom. That was a song we've played a number of times over the years on the show. That is his Christmas medley, which you can find on his 2010 Fantastic Showbiz box set, and was originally released on his Christmas is Really Fantastic EP way back in the 80s. Hope you enjoyed that one again. We're going to get back now to the second half of our chat with David Barnett, lead singer of the New Royal Family and writer of Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive. Going to be talking a lot more music, so let's just get into that right now. I want to talk about the other video then, because you mentioned there was the two videos, because there's the New Royal Family Rules OK. Now, first of all, I love that song, but I particularly love the video because that is just like my childhood captured in a little snapshot. I talked about that on a show.
I think the video is much better than the song. The song didn't quite. It was a bit of a kitchen sink thing. That was originally a song called Rules that I always quite liked. It was an old song from the 80s as well, and I felt like, I kind of want to make because Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive had been a theme song. I thought, we kind of need our own one. So I thought I could change this from Rules to Rules OK, and Your Family Rules OK. So that's how that came about. But yeah, the video was Caroline's idea, and again, it was superb. I think really good.
Lee, you need to just watch that video. I said this to my wife as well, and then you'll just understand what I'm about and basically what my childhood is about.
I don't think I want that level of insight into your childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, probably best to steer well clear.
This was like when I made my wife watch Bod and Finger Bobs, to try and get her to understand how I grew up and was shaped. And then I think she was quite traumatized after, particularly Finger Bobs. But then that's a whole other thing.
He was a bit like a sort of Rasputin type character, wasn't he? That guy.
Yeah, he was just very weird. That was the time where there was like lots of creepy TV children's.
It was kind of obligatory in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yes. I joke on our show over here a lot that so much of my childhood are now in prison.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to nicer things. I won't keep you for too much longer. Now, I do want to talk, though, about another musical love of yours, which is Suede, because I know you've written a book about them. You're a biographer of the band. You've written some sleeve notes for them, and you used to do a fanzine back in the day, Suave and Elegant. So, I mean, just tell us about your love of the band. Are you still a big fan of them? Do you still listen to them? I liked their early stuff, and then I kind of haven't listened to them actually for a few years, aside from their first album, which is on regular play still with me.
Yeah, well, you've done your homework. Well done. It's slightly creepy.
That's me.
Swed, as they're known in Scotland, of course. Yeah, I saw them on the telly and I thought they were great. I think because they reminded me of Adamant. It all comes back to him. Because the Drowners sort of starts with that tribal tom-tom ripple, which we ripped off on the new Royal Family Rules OK, of course. And I started a fanzine. I'd done a lot of fanzines. I was actually, weirdly, I was kind of inspired. One of the women in the commando office where I worked in DC Thompson, her son was involved in the Dundee United fanzine, which was Final Hurdle.
Final Hurdle, yeah.
Yeah, and even though I know nothing about football, I liked the fact that it was really funny. Even though I didn't know what they were talking about, it was still amusing. And I thought, this is quite good. And it was so detailed as well. It was like much better than any music fanzine I'd done. So that was kind of partly the inspiration of that. I want to do one that's like really incredibly detailed and also like very irreverent, because I think that's that I'm sure, with no disrespect to either team, I think, liking something that is occasionally not the best in its field is kind of quite fun in its own right. Rewarding,
That's why we're fans.
And pointing out the flaws in things is kind of like a big part of the fun, isn't it? Like, I mean, if they're always winning, it's no fun. And it's the same. I kind of found that a bit with Suede. I liked it when they were struggling and they kind of got written off and like, Bernard's left, they're rubbish now. Oasis and Blur are much better and all this kind of stuff. I kind of really liked that period. So yeah, I wrote this fanzine and the band, I got to read it and liked it, and I kind of started doing occasional bits and bobs for them and eventually went to work in their management office in London for nearly 10 years.
Oh wow.
So that was nice. And then after that I kind of started, they split up, and the band The Boyfriends that I possibly mentioned, they started to do quite well, so I went off and did my own musical things for a bit. And I still really like Suede. I go and see them live when they play, and they say hello still, which is nice. And one thing that's interesting that I do is a thing called Suede Walks, which, like most of my inventions, is kind of a joke that got out of control and is now a phenomenon.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what we have in common here. I was because I was in bands, I was doing a night shift job, so I had a load of free time and not much money. So what can you do with free time and not much money? Go for walks. So I was doing all these walks, and I thought, you get these guided walks, those free walks about Charles Dickens and Jack the Ripper and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, what do I know about that I could do a walk about? And I wonder if I could do like a Suede walk. That'd be funny, And then I kind of looked like they did a video there, and they played this place here, and like one of them used to live there, and I kind of did this route. And then said, hey, I'm doing the first Suede walk, and some people came. Wow, they came, and I did that, and then it kind of exploded. And now that they're back, and because of the internet's got much more power than it did back then. When Suede play and are in town, I can sometimes have like 30 odd people will come on these walks, and I'm kind of like this Pied Piper of Fey Indie-dom, wandering around these really dodgy council estates, hoping we don't get me. It's funny. Like, I mean, that's one of the things I always think is hilarious. Is like if Brett actually minced along a council like block like that in a leather jacket showing his midriff, he wouldn't last 5 seconds. So
yeah,
that's hilarious.
I saw them a lot in their early days, especially when they played a lot of the small venues up here in Scotland. Well, I say up here in Scotland. I'm not in Scotland.
Were you at the venue when they played there?
Oh, possibly. I definitely remember seeing them in Glasgow, some venue that's knocked down now.
Yeah, is it Plaza?
At Plaza, that was it. I saw loads of bands there.
I didn't think they were very good. That was funny. I didn't really enjoy it.
So there's no right answer to these next two questions I'm going to ask.
Right.
You.
Yes. Now you say that, but
this isn't chocolate digestive stuff, but
good.
This is just still music.
We're not there. We're not even there yet.
No, we're nearly there. Leo will be glad to know that we're nearly there.
On behalf of the listening people, I'm really sorry.
This might get edited for the
actually really
show.
It's just listening because it's totally different. Because normally we just talk about football, but this has just been complete nonsense.
I must say, I've been listening to your podcast, and I really like it because I don't know what's going on at all. And then very occasionally, there'll be a bit of music. They'll go, "Oh, this is a great song," and then very occasionally there'll be me, and then it's like really, it's so bizarre. But it's quite comforting just having like two kind of Scottish guys talking shite in the background while I'm trying to work.
Yeah,
it's nice, like being in an office.
Yeah, I've made a career of it over here.
It's just like being in an office because everybody else is talking about football and I have no idea what they're talking about.
So here's the two music questions, and then we'll probably wrap up after this. So, favourite Suede song?
I really like. The only reason that I know my answer to this is because I was rather arrogantly listening to an interview I did with a Suede podcast, and on that I said my favorite Suede song was "The Two of Us," which is on Dogman Star.
Yeah, mine is
I really
The
like
Next
that
Life. I love The Next Life.
Yeah, good song.
Very haunting. That first album is like a masterpiece to me. It's just
that many people would agree with you there.
Yeah. Favorite Adam and the Ants song?
It's probably Press Darlings because that's the one that sounds like the Drowners. But I also really like Ligatage, and I really like Picasso Visita El Planeta de los Simios.
Oh, interesting. Some nice obscure ones. I love their early, like Dirk Wears White Socks era stuff.
Yeah,
I love.
I mean, in fact, there's a kind of Neural Family. Weirdly, there's a Neural Family spin-off band called the Famous Cocks who do early Adam Ant songs.
Oh,
at these Ants conventions through the video person Caroline. So we played some of them. So we've done all the things like Be My Guest and Bathroom Function and all those ones. We played a lot of them, Xerox and all that.
Superb. Like Buzzcocks were the first band I ever got into, and then it was Adam and the Ants.
Right.
I just remember going.
Because are you slightly older than me?
Yeah, I'm born in '68.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, because I was just too old to really get punk, but I was exactly the right age to get Adam and the Ants when they kind of sold out and became successful.
Yeah, because I hadn't heard Dirk Wears White Socks until after I got Kings of the Wild Frontier.
Yeah,
there's another album, and it's like, this is really different, but it's really punky.
When I was little, it took me a long time to get it, and obviously now I think it's probably much better than Kings of the Wild Frontier, although I'm quite fond of that still as well.
I remember bringing, like, on our last day of term at school, I don't know if they still do this or not, Lee, but we used to get to bring in records. Obviously, you wouldn't be doing that nowadays, but you got to bring in records to play. And
maybe. What is this strange antique from the olden days?
So the girls were bringing in like their ABBA records and stuff like that. So I brought in Dirk Wears White Socks.
Right.
And
the one about God's knob?
Yeah. Because I remember that our music teacher took it out and was reading the sleeve notes, and she was like, well, I don't think I can play the A side or the B side that has like the size of God's knob. So then she played the other one that's got like Catholic Day and stuff on it, and like really
about JFK getting his brains blown out.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't think you've picked the best side to even be possibly playing there.
Yeah,
something like Aqua when I was at school that the girls would play, so a little bit different.
Yeah.
Barbie Girl.
Although I do remember one of the guys bringing in Papa Roach, Last Resort, and I think we got into maybe the first 45 seconds, and it was like an old record player. It was like straight off. That's not going to be playing that. I think I actually tried to play Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, and I think that got swiftly taken off as well.
I managed a band briefly for a while called Angels of Lust from Fife. My good friend Danny Holland brought out a band. He'd been in a number of bands, and I went under the name Mike Raven because it sounded like My Craving.
Yes,
so
good.
We did nothing, but but I did get to sing once on stage with one of
you did something, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's always it's great to just do stuff. Do any stuff, and you never know what's going to happen with it. And often the stuff you worry about the least and just do for a laugh. In my experience, it ends up being a thing. Like that Suede Walks thing that was a joke. One of Brett's last interviews that was in the Times, he mentioned the Walks. He said, he's now part of Heritage. There's a regular fan club troop of fans that kind of like scurry past his house on a tour. And I'm like, fantastic. That's me, that is.
Well, talking of Heritage, you're now embedded in East Fife and Vancouver Whitecaps Heritage. Somewhat bizarrely for a guy that doesn't like football. You've never even been to Glebe Park to see the Hedge?
No, I've been to 2 football matches in my life. And the most recent one was Cows Sports, who are the Isle of Wight football team. And to be honest, I can't remember even who they played, but I think they lost. But a small link is, I think you mentioned Goldie Luke and Chain, and the guy I went with used to be their manager. So once again, a small world.
Yes.
That was a few years ago. The only other football match I saw, which is a bit more exciting for you guys, I think, was in about 1978, maybe possibly 79. I just moved to Freakham from Forfar, and my friend David Gregg was a ball boy at Forfar Athletics football ground. And at that point, because I was 8 years old or whatever, obviously not liking football was akin to, I don't know, something that we would have used to call sissy. So obviously I had to pretend to like football, and my team, purely because I like the colour red, was Aberdeen. So my friend David Gregg said, "Hey, David, you're never going to believe it, but I can get you into this match. It's Aberdeen reserves against Forfar Athletic." So I got to go and watch this match, and I think the exciting thing perhaps for you guys is that at that point there were a couple of people that even I'd heard of in Aberdeen playing, because I you got the cards, and there was this kind of like the top 11 and then the kind of dregs that are also like on the benches just in case. And I think there was Drew Jarvie and also Steve Archibald. I may be wrong, but I believe Steve Archibald was East Fife's manager at one point.
He was.
You've done your research, David.
Amazing. Well, this is not even research. What happened was, when I posted this on my social media platforms, everybody went, "Bloody hell, that's ridiculous." But a couple of people went, "Oh, I really like East Fife." And one guy said, "Do you know the story about Steve Archibald?" Apparently, the story was that he was like sitting outside the ground or something in his car, and somebody got in thinking he was in taxi. Didn't recognize him. So yeah.
We've been trying to get him on the show, but he keeps dinging us on Twitter. So we'll get
over
him.
himself.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I saw some of the replies to your posts on Twitter, and one person was like, "When's your bit on the show? I've been listening to it. Seems to be an awful lot of football stuff," which is understandable, really.
Well, if they listen to this episode, they won't need to worry about that, eh?
No, that's what Christmas specials are all about, a little bit of fun. So let's wrap things up now by doing the big question. We have to end with this because
I fear this is going to be a terrific anticlimax after all that excitement.
Very probably. So let's do it properly, and let's cue, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to find out if David Barnett likes or fancies a chocolate digestive.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggested? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So David, you're sitting at home and you decide you fancy a hot beverage. What would be your hot beverage of choice? A tea, a coffee, a hot chocolate, or something else?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer because it's very much it depends, and it depends on the time. I tend to have coffee in the morning, tea during the middle of the day, and then in the evening I might rarely have hot chocolate, to be honest. I'm more likely to have a sleepy herbal tea, something like that. However, at this time of year, and because it's your Christmas special, my favourite drink just now, a hot drink, and it's great because one of the good things about Christmas is it's fine, is a Christmas coffee, which of course is coffee with an Irish liqueur drink, of which there are several brands available, I believe. But Christmas coffee, Christmas milk, we call it, although apparently that's rude for something else as well. So that's my drink of choice at the moment.
Well,
because I can get away with drinking booze during the day without
anyone knowing.
My other half telling me off for being drunk in charge of a small baby.
That is the best coffee to have. I do have to say I don't drink much these days, but that is one of my favourite tipples. I do like that. So this might be an obvious question, but do you have a sweet tooth?
I actually prefer savoury foods, which might be hard to believe considering I've got a bowl of apple crumble and custard in front of me.
Anyone fancy a cheese straw? Does not work the same kind of...
Well, this is because of the great misunderstanding that the song is about chocolate biscuits, and it's actually about a band. But I don't want to spoil the illusion for all the fans out there.
Oh no! I've been telling folk it's about anal
once you
sex.
give birth to a song, it no longer belongs to the artist; it belongs to the listener, and they're free to interpret it however they wish.
Yeah, I may just have bastardized your song then. So,
I mean, it does make a lot more. To be perfectly honest, we actually were really hoping McVitie's would give us a sponsorship deal. However,
I've been hoping for that for 4 years as well.
However, I think what has actually happened trumps that massively because we don't want to be corporate sellouts.
Well, you are
if you're listening, we can negotiate.
You're now known as the digestive guy. I don't know how that makes you feel. That was how Lee referred to you. It's like, 7:30 for the digestive guy. It's like, yep.
I mean, I've been called a lot worse in my time. Let's put it that way.
So, what is your biscuit of choice then? Let's get to that.
Biscuit of choice, probably some shortbread. Does that count as a biscuit?
It does. It does. And are you a dunker?
Like not anymore, really. I used to be. I think I failed the test and I haven't.
I think you have. It's like
I'm
we've got the man that wrote Anyone Fancies a Chocolate Digestive. A, not only does he not fancy a chocolate digestive.
Well, not right now. It's
B, it's not even about chocolate digestives. And C, he doesn't dunk. I don't know even... this interview can't go out. I'm sorry. That's just an hour in the can.
All you're going to see now is Michael McCall left the chat. Podcast won't go out.
Oh. You know what they say, guys? Never meet your heroes. This is what happens.
This is a bigger anticlimax than the 2016 Canadian Championship final when the Whitecaps gave up a 96-minute goal.
We could record an alternative ending, couldn't we, like they do for movies?
Oh, we don't want to do that. We want to keep you true.
And then you could use one on one of your podcasts and then the other one on the other one.
That would be hilarious.
So to answer your questions, respectively, it's tea, obviously chocolate digestives, and yes, I do dunk.
Oh, yeah, fantastic! Well done, David.
Better.
Thank you so much. Our AFTN Soccer Show. I've got 2 co-hosts in that, and one of them is actually a youth pastor. And he was like,
"What does that mean? What, like a sort of vicarage type?
Churchy pastor guy.
And not Italian wheat foods.
No, right? No, not pasta. Don't you get confused with my accent? I've got enough of that over here, for God's sake. So we played this song when you were Artist of the Month in December, and I believe you've listened to this episode, so you might know this, but. And then he was like, why is it suggestive? I don't understand that. And it's like, anal sex. He's talking about anal sex, Zach. And it's like, really? And he still messages me and it's like, I can't listen to that song the same way anymore.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, at least my.
I may have bastardized that version of the song as well. I don't know.
Well, I think what this shows is that it's multi-layered. It's on the surface, it may seem like a stupid song about biscuit, but there's a lot more to it than that. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact it's also really big on our BDSM podcast that we do, our After Dark edition, is, I mean, that was a whole other thing. Going around fetish conventions asking people what their favourite biscuit is.
You know what? You're not, it's there has been a similar interpretation to the one that I'm not going to repeat that you just mentioned by somebody. It's actually I think it's on the sleeve of the record, which it's in the post on its way, winging its way to you guys now.
It'll take me a month or so to get it because Canada Post just now is atrocious.
Yeah, I believe it was Bid from the Monochrome set does a kind of Freudian interpretation of what fancying a chocolate digestive means.
Oh, interesting. I think we should end it on that note. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, David. I really could chat to you for hours because I think we've got a very lot in common, musical tastes and just everything. So we should just get on for a chat one night. That would be fantastic.
That would be lovely, to be honest. Yes.
Yeah, I'd enjoy that.
I don't get out much these days, so yeah.
Well, we'll sort that out. Also, we have to get you to play a gig at Bayview Stadium. When you do reform on the pitch.
You can arrange flights, return flights, accommodation, backline, and visas. We're there. I mean, maybe how are the Whitecaps doing? Maybe
the Whitecaps are terrible.
Throw in a few dollars.
I'll tell you how terrible the Whitecaps are. East Fife are doing better than them.
Oh dear.
That's how bad the Whitecaps are.
I had a look, and as what I could see was they were near the bottom of the hit parade charts. What do you call it? League thing.
the hit parade. Yeah, actually, East Fife's pretty down in the hit parade just now as well.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, they were second from the bottom, weren't they?
Oh, well, we're climbing. We're going to get to number one.
Sorry, I'm behind the times. Hopefully, by the time this goes out, they'll be back to the top of the pops or whatever the football term is.
Of course, you are in a band with Keith, Top of the Pops. That ties things in nicely as well.
Yes, Keith, Top of the Pops. He's just released a compilation of all his Christmas songs, all covers of Christmas songs.
Oh,
and, I play guitar on some of those, I think. And
that is fantastic because we play Christmas songs on our Christmas special.
You should check that out. There's some good ones. He does "Lonely This Christmas." One about wanting a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Oh, superb!
That one about the spaceman traveling. That's great. They're really good. They're fun. I mean, possibly a few too many guitars because, as you probably know, Keith's got a lot of friends. They all play instruments, and he's very inclusive. So he likes to get everybody involved, and sometimes that can be.
Well, that's fantastic. This is the first year that our AFTN Christmas special. The last 3 years, I was going to say that the radio station let us do this. They didn't actually know that we were doing this the first 2 years. The advantage of our show is it goes out on a Sunday live at 11 p.m.
Right.
And there's nobody on after us.
Right.
So
you can go on as long as you like. Is that what happened?
Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to
Thank you both. It's been a real joy, and thank you to all the listeners out there for enduring this and for listening to my silly song and making an old man very happy.
Do you want to plug anything before you go?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. You want to tell anyone where they can find you on Twitter?
I think you can't buy any of my records anymore. They've all sold out, and you can't buy my book. The publishers refuse to reprint it.
Okay.
I tell you what, a band I'm in, Luxembourg, they have a new single coming out in the new year. So look out for that. It's called 45, and I imagine that's something to do with 45 revs per minute, or it might be about the 45th president of the USA.
Oh.
But you'll have to give it a listen yourself. So that's out in January.
I'll probably turn it into some segment.
45, out in January. I'm not actually on it, but they're good lads. They're good lads. So there's a plug for somebody else, giving a bit back to the community there.
You need to speak to your friend and find out how she heard about the podcast, because I would love to know how this has all come about, like how she managed to hear it, because that's random in itself.
I think she Googled it. I think she was just. I think she was just looking she just Googled it looking for the video. She just put in anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, I don't know, something like that. Just to
that would make sense. I'm surprised that East Fife one came up before the other one. That's really weird.
Yeah, it came up, and she's like, "What the hell is this all about?"
Amazing.
Amazing. It's a miracle, isn't it? Good old technology.
And the fact,
it's quite bizarre to think it's made this journey from Brecon High School down to London, up to East Fife and Vancouver over 35 years or something. It's crazy. Got there in the end, eh?
Yeah, it's tremendous. I've really enjoyed chatting to you tonight, David.
Night.
Night. Cheers, David. Bye.
Thank Christ it's Christmas.
Another place, another time. The old was a Celtic legend. No need to know how long to wait for, only to know that there'd be a new hope. Oh, whoa. Ah, a new hope. Oh, whoa. After the whitened days of justice, the guardians were driven to dust. Men appeared with evil malice, those who did destroy the just. But the season of encounter brought another hope to us. All the former non-believers soon believed when they saw the new hope. Whoa, a new hope. Whoa, Mary had an accident, it was a long, long time ago. And who the father was, we'll never know. Crackers all around me, remember when you are down, and you hope will always appear to remove that Christmas brand a new hope. Whoa, a new hope. Whoa, Mary had an accident, it was a long, long time ago, and who the father was, we'll never know. Never know. Whoa. We'll never know. Mary had an accident, it was a long, long time ago. And who the father was, we'll never know. Thank Christ it's Christmas. 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 Merry Christmas, Thank Christ it's Christmas.
Thank you so much to David for the chat there. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't anything to do with football, but I'm sure you kind of get used to all our non-football stuff that we do on the show. And it is Christmas, and that is what our Christmas specials are all about. But I really enjoyed chatting to him. And we rounded off our chat there by playing the new royal family's Christmas song, Thank Christ It's Christmas, A New Hope. Played that on last year's show as well, so hope you enjoyed that one. We're going to bring you the single he mentioned there from Luxembourg next year. It gets released in early January, so we'll give that a spin. I've heard it, really like it. 45, watch out for that. And of course, check out all the new royal family stuff. I'm pretty sure you can actually still find their stuff on iTunes to buy. So if you can, support David. But you can also check out the videos on YouTube. Just search for Anyone Fancy a Chocolate Digestive or the new royal family rules OK. I'll tweet links out to those as well. But you'll be glad to know we're going to get back chatting football next and having a look at some of the stuff closer to home here in Canada And we'll be doing that after this.
How's it going, guys? I'm Ben Fisk. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the final part of the AFTN Soccer Show 2020 Christmas Special. We're fast approaching the new year. Out with the old, in with the new. That's the mantra everyone likes to adopt. And we're already kind of seeing that happening with a couple of football clubs who are going to be having some new identities in 2021. We'll have a chat about the Montreal Impact later on, but we're going to kick things off in this part by looking at the rebranding of Canadian Premier League club York 9 FC, who are now York United Football Club. The new identity was announced in the middle of December. There's a new name, a new crest, a new strip, and some more new stuff to come. We'll delve into just our thoughts on that new look, a new name, and new identity in a couple of minutes. But first of all, I just want to play a little bit of audio from the press conference that York United's managing consultant Angus McNab had with a few members of the media. So I'm going to play you just a couple of questions from it, a couple from myself and then one from Marty Thompson from the CPL website, just looking at why do it now, what's behind it, and why go with the more generic York United. Just a couple of things for you, Angus. What is the driving force behind the name change? I mean, York 9, for me, I never was a particular fan of it anyway, but what was it that kind of drove you to decide to do this now? And you spoke about having the kind of ability now to do more with this name. What did you mean by that exactly?
Yeah, I think the ability now to... Well, let's go back to the beginning. Sorry. Michael. So how did we come about with this? So as we said before, we set out this mission, vision, set of core values. That is our North Star when things get tough and when we have to make hard decisions. For the future growth of this football club, as we started to explore things and look at it all, it became clear that we were limited by some things in the identity and the constructs as it had been put there. And we're about moving forward. And I think one of the great things with this league and actually all of our partners around the table at clubs around the country is we are all so passionate and driven to make this succeed. And yes, it's a very, very sort of bold action to take, but it's what we feel is the right one to drive us forward. And in terms of the flexibility and what this allows us to do, there's a straightforward geographic piece in that the identity of the club previously was rooted very solidly in York region. But when we actually look at the cold hard data, I think it's about 53% of season seat members were actually within the GTA. So there were some of these things that were not massively, I don't want to say they weren't thought through, but when we explored it and we looked at it deeper, they just did not make sense. When we looked at the map and we looked at the way things were drawn up, there were places that bore York that we did in their name, and they weren't supposedly encapsulated in the naming convention. The 9 was seen as exclusive to some and for the region, but we truly are united. This is for everyone. We're about growing this and making it bigger, better, and we want to be the sort of premier franchise within the Canadian Premier League. We want to be that perennial challenger for titles, and we want that for our fan base. And in addition to that, we also want to grow things off the field. And it was just now a unique time, a unique circumstance, and the right and bold thing to do, and to be fearless, as our values tell us to be, to sort of focus on making memories for the future and really, really drive to dream bigger.
The strip that was revealed today, I love that. The green and blue, it feels like it shouldn't go with gold, but it just pops the gold on it. As for the name, though, well, I guess first of all, as a Dundee fan, it must be tough for you being involved with a team called United. But like in general, why did you go for the more kind of generic United that you find in so many clubs around the world, and not for something more unique, or not just plain York FC?
Yeah, so, I mean, you nailed it there. I'm a Dundee and Arsenal fan, so United in a name in terms of isn't something that would come naturally to me by any stretch. But quite frankly, it's about the message and unity and what that means right now. And to be united means to come together for something. And this is unity. And we look at the crest inspiration, that shield shape, and where it's come from in the Queen's York Rangers. That's sort of the unity of sort of what we have in Aurora and what we have downtown with Fort York as well. So there are lots and lots of things that pointed us to this. It was not slap a name on it position. This is something that we have the courage of our convictions, and we are about building community. The start of the presentation, the start of the brand, you saw Mike Baldessara, our chairman, speak there, and they are builders. We are here, we are building something as well. And being united is something that matters to us, bringing people in together and celebrating this. And I've said this to a couple of people, we're an open club. Like, we want you all in. We want everyone to unite for this common goal. And that's supporting us, supporting the Canadian Premier League, and supporting the future of soccer in this country.
Maybe I'll play devil's advocate for a moment, because a lot of people will look at this and say, hey, York 9's only been around for 2 years, and now you're sort of switching over. So maybe the question is, was there any sort of doubt in your mind, or any sort of hesitation to make a change this quick?
I think there's always going to be a bit of a balanced scorecard, and is this the right move for us? I think we removed all doubt as we went through the process, and we saw what this could be. The doubt or any reservation that creeps in is the fact that we have a deep care and love for our fan base, and there are people who were attached to things that sat there. We hope that they're still with us. We hope that they're behind us. We hope that they believe in the message of this being bigger and growing it. So yes, you have these doubts, you have these things, but again, when times are tough, we refer back to what is our absolute gold standard and set of rules, the mission, the vision, and the values. So if we're going to try and encourage Canadians to dream bigger, we have to dream bigger ourselves. And so that comes with the values. Are we fearless? We need to progress and move forward. And that's where we've taken this decision.
So Angus McNab there, just talking about the change for York 9. They are York 9 no more. They've gone the way of Yorkie, up to the great planetary whatever in the sky, never to be seen on or heard of again until they're maybe bought over by Borussia Dortmund, and then it'll be York 9 but spelled Nein maybe this time. We'll kind of see how that goes. So, but we'll have a quick chat about that, because of course York's not the only Canadian club that looks like they're going to be changing their name. But I mean, what did you think of it, Zach? I didn't like the York 9 name to start with, but I quite like the redesigned crest. Don't like the crown, obviously. I love the away kit that they brought out, though. I thought that was very smart.
Okay, so like we were talking about on our own there, like I went to middle school and high school and lived in York region for I don't know, at least 6 years, 6 formative years of my life. My parents
and you're German, so you like 9.
My parents, my mom and my stepdad still live there. My sister just moved back up north from the city of Toronto to live also in York region. I get how
is it near Thunder Bay? No, okay.
I get how
or Morocco.
I get how the people who came up with the idea were going for something creative and something unique, and I think they achieved that. And I honestly, I don't think the name and the crest and stuff was all that concerning or that bad. I really liked their kits. I think their kits were good. Even even the map one, which I can understand why people wouldn't like that. Like that didn't bug me that as much as it did other people.
Do you like the new one though? Because like blue-green with yellow trim feels like it shouldn't go, but I actually think it looks really smart.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. Like I don't like hate it, but the crest, I don't like the crests that much, to be honest.
No. I don't like that kind of baseball style font where you've got the letters in, because Houston Dynamo's done it as well with their HD, which I've pointed out to several people, but nobody cares. It's basically just ripped off Dulwich Hamlet's crest, which is the DH as well. So it looks identical to that to me.
But here's the thing, like we've talked a lot over the years about having an identity as a football club is really, really important. And that should be something that is both about who you are on the pitch and off the pitch. And I still think that York 9, under the York 9 banner, they should have done more. And obviously I'm not as close to everything they were doing on the ground, and especially in the first year, obviously. But I think they should have gone the route of kind of what Pacific did, right? Pacific has gone, and whether you want to say it's been totally effective or not, sorry about that. Whether you think it's totally effective or not, they went this route of saying, "Hey, we want to make sure we're in this one area that kind of everyone knows, but we're really about this whole community, this whole place." So they went with like their hashtag, their motto, whatever, was trying to embrace the whole community, right? It was like for the Isle, right? That's their thing. Now I know some people don't like that because that's calling Vancouver Isle is some people told me they hate that, whatever. But at least the idea was, hey, we're going to bring together the whole island to try and support this team and make it like everyone's a part of it. And I feel like, again, from a distance, I feel like York 9 didn't embrace that ethos enough. And I know there's some voices I've heard from people said they should have focused on the bigger, probably the big three of the 9 places like Richmond Hill and Vaughan and Markham, and focus on those municipalities because that's where the most people are, and where they're closer to Toronto and all that kind of stuff. And Vaughan especially is known as a football community and whatever. There's football all throughout the region, but yeah, I really think they should have went more for this, not calling themselves United, but having United as like their what was their identity, what like brought them together. So even if they were called York 9 and their hashtag was United for the region or United for York or something else, like that would have made, like, that's something I think they should have pursued more. And I don't know how much the people who were influencing or bringing forward the ideas behind the original name and crest and logo and ethos and all that were pushing for that kind of messaging, if you will. But maybe they were, maybe they weren't, and maybe they did try that, and I'm misunderstanding things, or I don't have the full picture. But I think that would have been a better route, and I think staying the course would have been a better route. Because here's the other thing: why do you do a rebrand? Why do you change a logo? Why do you do all this stuff? You do this so you can get people in the stadium. And we don't know if they're going to be able to get people in the stadium. So
but
why?
It's also more marketable as well. I mean, that the thing, Steve. We're going the name York United. You're a United fan, obviously, but I mean, it's a name that's just so commonplace. Where I didn't like York 9, but you don't. I mean, there's a lot of German clubs that's got numbers in their name.
Yeah.
Schalke 04. Like even over here, you've got Vancouver Whitecaps nil, and it's. You've got some clubs that's got that kind of unique kind of side to them, but I mean York United just already feels a bit like
Yeah, they should have gone the other way. They should have gone the first letter of each of the regions and arranged it and put York, all the first letters, like if Richmond Hill, York RV, whatever, and go on and just have a whole long name in there. That would have been unique.
No, had a countdown round with trying to see what we could make from it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I can understand where they're coming from because the people probably don't get what York 9 means, and I understand that it would probably have been a better idea. Maybe I think they should have done the other way, where they had a regular name and then they brought that side motto as the 9, like how they do. Maybe done York FC, and then the thing is Unite the 9. that would have been ideal or something like that. That would have been good.
That's not a bad show either, Steve.
So because then that way they would have had that. I don't know if you want to call it inside joke, but inside kind of thing for everybody that knows what that means, and they have the regular name so that's where I think they should have done it. They should have got a normal name and then have a special motto that included the 9, and that way people got into that.
Of course, they're not going to probably be the only Canadian team with a new name next year. Montreal Impact, all but confirmed, they're changing their name. They're definitely rebranding. They didn't say 100% it was the name, but the expectation is, as talked about in last week's show, that they're going to drop the Impact and just become plain old Montreal FC. Thoughts on that one, Zach, as a guy that goes way back with the Whitecaps and the history between the Whitecaps and the Impact in Canadian soccer?
Au revoir, l'Impact. Yeah, it's sad. It's also kind of sad that they're changing it to the name of their long defunct USL team.
Well, it was FC Montreal, so as long as they do Montreal FC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But there is a chance they could do FC Montreal still, but AC.
Why not? Why don't they do with a French name or something like that instead of just doing isn't there French versions like maybe the AS Montreal or something like that?
Yeah,
I think this part of the problem is here. You have this. It's one of those multi-club ownership movements, right? You have Joey owns them, he owns Bologna, and they're trying to have all the clubs within the union, if you will, be more marketable around the world, right? They want.
Well, if he's gonna name it, if he already owns Bologna, why not call it Salami then, Montreal?
That makes total sense. Yeah,
that's synergy. That's synergy between organizations.
Italians.
Yeah, getting to the meat of the matter here.
Yeah.
But no, I can understand why they wanna maybe change it for I guess worldwide branding, I guess, or world recognition. But some things, it's no, you don't change them. You know what I mean? They're no one's is I don't know is in Switzerland, are they going to be yeah, grasshoppers? That's really strange. In other countries they eat grasshoppers. Let's change the name. You know what I mean?
If they did go with the French and they went AS Montreal, I mean that could be a way around it.
I just thought of it though; it might give Thierry Henry PTSD because didn't he get fired from AS Monaco? So I'd maybe not do that. Maybe come up with something else.
I just thought they could have the S to stand for Saputo. All Saputo, Montreal. All Saputo, Bologna.
Or they held the Olympics in Montreal in 76? Why not call it Olympique Montreal?
Well, didn't they used to be called the Olympique?
Montreal, yeah, Olympique or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or is it they were the Manic? They were I've got to Google this now. They were the Olympique at some point, I'm sure.
Were they? I didn't even know that.
I think they maybe had that in the CSL days.
What's the team in France with Olympique in their name? I can't remember.
Marseille.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Montreal Olympique were 71 to 73. Founded 71, dissolved 73.
Oh, in the NASL.
NASL, yeah.
And just a word of advice: if you have things on your screen, use incognito Google. Just a word of advice. Okay, no worries.
But what's it called? You said Olympique de Marseille. It's also Olympique Lyonnais, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be a bad one to go with, though.
But they haven't announced what it's going to be. They just
the rumors were from the guys that broke the story on Montreal radio. It was just going to be plain old Montreal FC. So you'd have Montreal FC, Toronto FC.
Should it be CF Club de Football?
Or it's sad that
Arsenal Montreal for Thierry. Just shorten it to Ars Montreal or Montreal Ars. It would work. Anyway, I'm sure we'll be covering that story when it develops a bit further next year. Not got too much more for this episode of the show, our Christmas special. We've got one more Christmas song to bring to you. It's from friends of the show, Goldie Looking Chain. This is their 2020 Christmas single. This is COVID Christmas.
Are you waiting for the COVID Christmas, we nearly had it on the run. Thought it would be over by September, but it's only just begun. What would your neighbors do if they saw you partying with 6 or more? Newport's back in lockdown, can you believe?
Yeah, I can believe it.
Imagine all the super spreading on New Year's Eve.
I'm not going out on New Year's Eve. I'm just going to burn things in my garden.
Won't be seeing Nana. She's having Christmas dinner on her own. In hindsight, we probably should have put her in her home.
Love you, Nana.
So here it is, COVID Christmas, carving turkey up for one. Thought it would be over by September, but it's only just begun. So here it is, COVID Christmas, we nearly had it on the run. It won't be over by next September, 'cause it's only just begun.
You gotta fucking laugh, ain't you? What else you gonna do, like?
Goldie looking chain there, COVID Christmas, it's what we're all having. Just before we go, what's your plans for both of you for Christmas? Obviously it's a lot different this year. I mean, Zach, are you just having a quiet family get together?
No get-togethers, Michael, because that's against the public health orders. So we've had some...
I thought you had your own rules out in your neck of the woods. I've been watching the news.
No. It's literally the 4 of us in our house. We've had some gifts dropped off and picked up, and I mean, I've been delivering some gifts, but just the 4 of us. And we'll do some Zooming and stuff with people in the province, some people outside of the province, all that kind of fun stuff. But no, it's just family and fun and some good food and lots of games and some movies and TV shows and of course Lego building and just a lot of good laughter. You know, we have a lot of fun together.
What about you, Steve?
Same thing, man. It's gonna be a Zoom Christmas for us. Basically, everybody getting together. We normally had about 14 people in the house, and they all slept overnight on Christmas Eve. So it's not gonna happen this year. First time in, I want to say like 18 years, 19, 17. I can't remember how 15 years or somewhere there where nobody's staying over.
Yeah, I mean, we just usually have a quiet Christmas anyway, so I'll be having another quiet Christmas with the girl I love, my dog Penny, and Caitlin will be here as well. So I mean, that'll be good when I open my presents that I made her buy me. But just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online and any final Christmas cheer message that you might have for the listeners.
No, just stay safe, have a wonderful Christmas, and you can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
Santa?
Yeah, for me on Twitter, it's at ZacharyAM, and just blessing for Christmas. For me, celebrating the birth of Jesus, blessing to those who are getting together and gift giving and having a good time. Hope you have a good one. Hanukkah happened, so I hope those who celebrate Hanukkah had a good time. And Kwanzaa, anyone celebrating Kwanzaa?
No.
All right. Well, for those who are, I hope you had a good time, or you hope you have a good time.
Big ups to JC, man. Big ups to JC.
That is pretty much it. You can give me a follow on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AFTN Canada. We're going to be doing our quiz night, our very first quiz night, hopefully recorded between Christmas and New Year. Got to get on that and get the guys, find a date where we can all do it. We'll bring that out as a podcast and a video as well. We've got some fun rounds in store for everyone, and it's going to be good for people of all ages and levels, Steve, so don't worry.
No, it's okay. I'll finish last. No problem.
You won't. I've got faith in you. My money's on you. I've bet my house on you.
I doubt it.
Yeah. So I'll be looking for a new house in the new year. So thank you guys for giving up your Christmas Eve to record this Christmas special. Hopefully next year we'll be back in the studio doing our usual fun-filled frolics. But until next time, for everyone that's listening and been with us all year, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. Have a wonderful Christmas. And we'll be back soon. And more on the presents.
Christmas is, well, it's about the best time of the whole year. You walk down the streets even for weeks before Christmas comes. And there's lights hanging up, green ones and red ones. Sometimes there's snow, and everybody's hustling someplace. But they don't hustle around Christmas time like they usually do. You know, they're a little more friendlier. They bump into you, they laugh, and they say, pardon me, and Merry Christmas. And especially when it gets real close to Christmas night. Everybody's walking home, you can hardly hear a sound. Bells are ringing, kids are singing, snow is coming down. And boy, what a pleasure it is to think that you got someplace to go to. And the place that you're going to has somebody in it that you really love.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world away from the numbers.
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.